Where's Dickey?
I don't know. He's pretty unbearable. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dimlits, where we are not the brightest bulbs in the box. This is a podcast where we talk about Pixar movies because why not? Quit coming around. You take the mask off now. For you audio listeners, Dickey is dressed like a bear.
What is happening?
And if you're wondering what a bear has to do with anything, today we're talking about
Brave.
Brave.
That would have been a better title for this.
I think actually the original title was The Bow and the Bear.
That would have been a better title for this.
But yes, Brave, the 13th feature from the studio. Came out in June of 2012, so it's been over a decade since it came out.
Wow.
Made a decent amount of money. It won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. And
What was it
we
going
have
up
to
against?
it was up against Frankenweenie, the Wreck-It Ralph,
Ooh, okay.
Paranorman, and the Pirates Band of Misfits, which
This beat Paranorman? Oh, my Paranorman.
at least 3 of those were way better than that.
Yeah,
They're all
Frankenweenie.
better, but Frankenweenie is fine, in my opinion. But those other 3 are great. I don't know. Because we say, it's the Disney thing, but Wreck-It Ralph's a Disney thing, so
Yeah.
I don't understand. But if you can't tell, people, we're not huge fans of this movie.
It's okay.
And the big reason is...
It's unbearable.
Thanks. It's...
How many
It's
times can
very,
we say the word unbearable in one podcast?
Not enough.
It's very frustrating. We'll get into it. There's actually many things to talk about. But without further ado,
Let's get into it.
Brave. Let's see what I wrote 8 months ago. Under the harsh eye of her mother and the stress of being paired with a suitor, Princess Merida uses girl power to fight for her own hand, and in turn begins an unbearable chain of events. I did put it in there. When I'm reading these synopses, it's like, wow, most of these, I'm just I was going to say bare boning it great. I'm just clawing. It's
never ending.
Sorry, pause for effect. Yeah, basically, these are like the most skeletal of synopses.
I mean, you pretty much hit that's all there is. Like,
It really is just that it's she doesn't want to be matched up with a suitor, so she starts this whole thing that starts a war and turns her mother into a bear.
I mean, me too. If I didn't want to get married, I would also
yeah.
just turn my mom into a bear. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Gotcha. I remember I watched this in theaters 10 years ago. I remember it was me, my brother, and a friend of ours, and we were all very excited. All of the trailers for this was, hey, Pixar is doing something we haven't seen before. It's kind of, going back in time. It's kind of this epic fantasy type thing, and first female main protagonist.
Oh yeah, should be good.
And it's like, hey, this sounds cool. And then after the movie, we walk out all going like, yeah, that's fine. So that's what I carried with me for 10 years. It's fine. I don't care about it. Yeah. And then I watched it again.
That was your first mistake.
Something tells me this hit you a little different this time, buddy.
While I was watching, I remember thinking first I went into it going, is this going to be about the same? It's just kind of, or is there something I missed? Mm-hmm. About 20, 30 minutes in, I was like, I'm enjoying this. This is decent setup. There's some pretty funny stuff in the characters. Mm-hmm. Everything this feeling right. Maybe I was wrong. I know I was right. It gets to a point where it just stops being the movie it sets up and just does
The Disney thing.
bare minimum. Again, Jacob brought the Disney thing. So while looking into it, the two directors are Mark Andrews and Brenda Chapman. Brenda Chapman was one of the directors on Prince of Egypt, which I thought was cool. Like they made one of the greatest animated movies of all time. So they're brought in here for this type of story.
And then the tight end from Baltimore Ravens.
I was just thinking that. So when you watch this movie, that first act is the most developed part of the movie.
It is good.
And partway through production, Brenda Chapman left over creative differences and was replaced because she clashed with John Lasseter. They brought in, I saw that face. They brought in Mark Andrews to finish. That's why they both did enough to be credited. And Brenda Chapman has said that she stands by the movie and likes it. But I think in more recent news, it's like, I'm it wasn't quite what I admired. So I'm starting to think that first chunk is Brenda Chapman's movie, and then at a certain point, they bring in Mark Andrews to just kind of fill the spot. Nothing against him, just if I've looked at, I looked at what else. He's not directed anything else. This was his first and only director credit. So again, it's a fill-in spot, and as Jake said, the Disneyifying kicks in, and it becomes this family-friendly thing that holds it back.
Yeah, because like that's a good point, because like I feel like the first act, it didn't necessarily feel overly Disneyfied. It didn't feel like it felt like it was just really like down to earth, just a classic familial struggle like back in the day.
Yeah, well, the Disneyifying we're talking about is where is this common trope of they simplify it and make it way more family friendly to the point where it hurts the story. And they do this because they want it to appeal to as much people as possible without taking risks and being as enjoyable and lighthearted as they can be.
I just really quick, I just had a really good note that just popped up in my head, and I think this is very true. You would know what it feels like they learned from this movie and did it better?
What?
Encanto. I feel like, because like this is like Brave is like kind of like
a Pixar movie.
No,
Encanto was just Disney, I think. But because like Brave, like it had your classic generational struggles between the mom and the daughter, not wanting to get married, and so I feel like they did, like, obviously Encanto is about generational struggles as well, and I think they stuck with that instead of trying to make it more of what it turned out to be, which is more just trying to be the whole bear thing.
One of the biggest frustrations is for all that they set up, they don't develop anything. It's like they knew where to start and where to end, but there's nothing in the middle. There's no meat on the sandwich. Because
I do love meat on my sandwich.
I mean, who doesn't?
For a while you didn't.
It's true.
About 10 years you didn't.
I like soy meat.
Good meaty sandwich. That sounds really good. Anyway.
The point I was making is, like, the movie falls off hard after the scene at the witch's house when she goes back to the castle. Because then it's like, this isn't some big epic thing. We're just going back to the castle. And then we go back to the witch's house when her mom's a bear.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the castle. And then we go back out. And that's the end of the movie. It's kind of like that scene in Finding Nemo at the beginning. And then we go out and back in. And then we go out and back in. So that's kind of a harbinger for this movie back in Finding Nemo. Let's tease them about something epic, and let's just go back and forth between two locations.
That's a really good... I never realized that. Yeah,
that's not all they do.
Locations.
Think about it. Think about what this movie could have been in that. I love the message of this movie. Like
responsibility.
It's a good moral message.
Would you say that? Responsibility, taking
responsibility, and anyone can be the hero, and the responsibility you need to take on is not necessarily the responsibility that you are saddled with.
I like that. And
imagine, and this is just really simple. So imagine that first act is still there, but she just says no. Kicks off an actual war, not just bar fights. To prove that she can lead this people, she is tasked with going out and killing Mordu. In doing that, she figures out that he has been under this curse, and he's actually the human that he is. And then presents the struggle of, is that the best to kill this bear?
And it's like the one hand.
That sounds like a lot better movie than what
I feel like that was supposed to be the movie based on the points that they present to us.
But that probably was too dark for their liking. It wasn't long after this, I think, Lasseter's gone. Lasseter's gone somewhere in this span of years.
When did this? This was 12?
This is 2012.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
you're
He went to Disney, and then now he's been ousted from Disney since. But the whole point being, like, it's around that time where he made the switch, because I think he directed Cars 2 the year before. But it's somewhere in there, and it's got to be, it was too dark. And it's a shame, because that often gets in the way of something better. Yeah, you don't have to make it super dark, but just something where Mordu is more part of the story, because that felt like nothing.
No, they mentioned his name, and then he was there, and then that's it.
Yeah,
well, they do kind of do the thing with the brothers, and they allude to him being one of them, and then straight up show it at the end, but you don't feel anything. You don't even barely realize it. Like, this is like the second or third time I watched it. I don't even remember, like, you talk about when Mordu dies, the spirit appearing and nodding, and I don't even remember that part.
Yeah, it's
okay,
just,
I literally watched it this morning, and I do not remember that.
When the Rock crushes the bear. Again, we want to talk about dark. A rock literally crushes him and kills him.
Yeah.
His like ghost appears overhead, doesn't say anything, just gives a little like thank you nod. And I remember thinking, like, we haven't had anything sympathetic about you in this movie. You were presented as crazy, and you tried to kill everyone and take over a kingdom, and we figure out, hey, you got turned into a bear. Where's the sympathy side? Where is the part of the story where it's like, hey, there's more going on? Instead, it's, we killed him and the guy's happy. It's like, but we don't. Why do we care about you? You're the villain because that's how it was set up. But we don't have any reason to be sympathetic for maybe this isn't a villain. Maybe this is someone trapped and has become more wild, just like her mom was.
It's super interesting at these points that like there's stuff that was cut out, like there's stuff that should have been there. Because while I'm watching it, or no, not while I was watching it, like immediately as it ended, I'm like, wow, that was short.
Yeah, it just kind of ends.
Felt really, really short. Like you could have had some more meat on your sandwich. They could have put more, like there could have been more there. I don't know. Like, do we really think it's just because it was just dark? Like, there should have been more there. It's so it needed a little bit more.
Well, look at the mother-daughter relationship is the crux of the story.
Yes,
because even in the thing we got, she's got to fix fix it, the bond or whatever it's called. So when does that change happen? Because they're at each other's throats, and that's actually a good scene. That's a good scene when she tears it. And that hurts her mother. So what does her mother do? She does something impulsive that hurts Merida, and that's why she runs away. Very good setup.
Oh yeah.
You feel the tension, and they both regret it. One more than the other, because Merida, that's part of the arc, is realizing that, whereas her mother instantly is like, "What have I done?" And they don't do anything with that. Not in terms of arc, in terms of development, because the arc fixes itself, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it. She turned into a bear. They escape. They just like, well, let's just go to the witch's place. Witch isn't there. That progresses the story. And then they like sleep under that thing in the rain, wake up and go fishing. And then they go to Mordu's castle, and then they go back.
Yeah.
When does Merida think she has to take takes the responsibility, or at least starts to? Where is the mother-daughter bond growing stronger outside of just, hey, we fished?
No, that's a good point.
I understand they can't talk to each other.
I think the moment where Merida accepts the responsibility is the speech.
But there's no build-up to that.
It's true.
That's the problem.
That's where I think, and I don't want to keep comparing this to Encanto, but now like my brain is all of a sudden making these connections. I'm like, wow, Encanto did this, but just better. Like, because, like, it built up to the big, like, the conversation with, but I'm talking about Encanto right here, where she's talking with her grandma. And, like, that's where, like, she gets to the root of all the issues, and that's where she figures where the change needs to be.
In Encanto, I think it's kind of in reverse, though.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
What's her Mirabelle? Mirabelle?
I think that sounds about right. I think so.
Mirabelle wants the responsibility of the gift.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to be a part of the family in that way. Merida does not. Merida wants to push back on what they're telling her to do.
Yeah, but I still think that you could have. I if really just I was going for the There was no. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, there was no, like, come to Jesus moment. That's the first thing I can think of. Like, there was no...
Yeah.
Like, she
It just happened.
All of a sudden, it kind of happened off screen, like or maybe something like that.
And usually you have scenes that show the progression, or at least even one scene where she starts to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have that. They just go back to the castle, and she tells the speech. It feels like out of necessity, not out of, like, she actually believes this. Even though in the movie she does.
It is out of necessity, though, because they need to get the bear by the...
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, though?
crowd.
It kind of just plays like that. It's like, but that doesn't feel like a character thing. And they play it like one because her mom stops sneaking up and, like, listens and does that. And then the mom also kind of pulls back on the tradition thing.
I did
and I was
like that part a lot.
But where did it come from? When did she learn that? Like, when does the change happen? It's just like, what? Oh, okay. I mean, I'm fine with that choice. Where's the root of this choice? You just... you go fishing with her after she made a terrible choice. It's like, okay, you can break tradition.
But that's all it takes. You just have to go fishing with someone.
I think it probably... What a Michigan thing to say.
You solve everything over going fishing.
What was I going to say now? I think the implication is that seeing her make that speech and say those words makes her mother realize that she does understand the gravity of the undertaking they're asking, what they're asking of her. It's not done well, but I think it's there.
Interesting. Yeah.
And again, the thing they wrote themselves into a corner with, they have to develop this relationship, but the mom can't talk to her. Now, I'm glad the bear doesn't talk. I'm glad that, but it is kind of saying, okay, once you turn into a bear, they can't talk to each other with words.
I don't know. Me turning into a bear, I think I can use my words pretty well. I don't know.
You're certainly easier to look at.
And listen to.
No, you'd have to leave the room for that. Kidding. That's the thing. Like, it feels like they ripped the heart out of the movie, and that's the biggest problem. Is with at least that part of the story. It's like, none of this feels developed. There's not depth to this. It just, things happen for the sake of happening. Because that moment at the end, when she says it's my fault, should feel bigger than it is, and it doesn't. Mm-hmm. It's like, when did that happen? When did she... we don't see any signs of this. It can be subtle, but it's just not there.
And that's I do wonder, like, how much, like, how it came together, because I know you said the whole director change. Like, I wonder if they... You see, I also just don't know the work line for animated quite as well as, like, normal. But, like, because, like,
we're talking about animation now?
Well, yeah, because I'm like, you can't exactly film extra scenes and not use them when you're making an animated movie.
Yeah, things get cut.
Like, I mean,
because it goes in stages.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know enough about it, but it's... Because if it gets past a certain point, you have, like, footage... You have the scene, but it's not finished because you stop animating it when it gets cut.
Well, that's why I was just curious as to how, like, they wrote and came up with this, because, like, it feels like the movie that we got is like 2/3 of the movie that's should have been there.
It's a watered down version, and just they just ripped out things that make certain things make more sense.
So I'm curious if somewhere along the way they lost.
They didn't lose anything. No, it's because
somewhere along the way they lost a battle with the studio.
I mean, it's not always specifically studio interference.
It Disney could just be in this case.
I know it probably is, but it could have been It could have been just a disagreement with people. And who
That's
knows?
what it sounds like. Just again, creative differences.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate too because that again the start is good. The the shot of her firing that last arrow is the best shot of the movie. The rest of the movie is pretty bland in terms of.
I don't know. The hair looks good.
I was going to talk about animation. In this turn, like the cinematography of it, like the actual shot compositions were pulled back a lot, and we're just kind of doing little swings. And I remember thinking like, this is just kind of bland. We're just kind of sitting back when you can do anything you want with this camera.
Yeah.
I was noticing about halfway through, I go, that arrow shot, the slow-mo, is great. I love that part.
That's like
But everything else just feels, there's no style to it.
That's a really good point. Like, after you mentioned that, like, I'm like playing the movie back in my head. That's the only time, that's the only shot that stands out. Like, there's no other, like, good enough frame.
Flashy moments.
Right, yeah.
And it's not all about flashy moments.
Stands out in my head?
What's that?
When her brother jumps into the bosom of...
oh my gosh! I forgot about that scene!
And then pops out like a whack-a-mole.
Yeah, that was I remember watching that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's weird.
It's like, I talked to Jake about this too. It's like, it's such a weird joke, and it's already weird because it's like these kids as bears.
I have a further question. They get turned into bears, right? Because they eat a little bit of the cake. How do they turn back?
I don't know.
What bond do they need to mend?
I don't know.
So do they become like Mordu?
Apparently.
Well, they did change back. We just don't know how. Maybe we should have like dropped a giant rock on them.
Maybe they broke the curse on Mordu, and it broke the rest of it.
I don't know. It's not really explained.
Jake, that's not important. Obviously, it's just not important to the story.
No.
Yeah, that was an uncomfortable moment, though.
Does your dad also seem like stoic, the lesser to anyone else?
That's pretty good. He was like, I think it's Billy Connolly, and he's always very lively in performances, and it's the dad is one of the best characters.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hilarious, especially the part that made us laugh in the theater all those years ago was, honey, I'm naked. Avert your eyes, lads! Show some respect! Because he was staring right at her. I was laughing so hard. He's great.
He is great.
I like the voice acting's fine. There's some good characters.
I didn't realize until I looked at your list here. Robbie Coltrane was in this. I didn't know that he played Lord Dingwall.
Rest in peace.
I know. That makes me so. I love Robbie.
He's the one that's feast your eyes.
That's yes.
Yeah,
that makes me so happy.
I did I can't remember any. The one that we can't understand him was killing me. I didn't like that. I go, oh my gosh, that's good. Again, there's good things here, but I just think the thing as a whole just is not very good.
So how many how do I want to phrase this? How many families do you think missed out on their spouses or whoever due to the amount of hours put in to animating her hair?
At least 7.
I thought I read just like Pixar always does. They create a new technology to render it faster.
Yeah,
and they did, and the hair looks great.
Dear God,
that
hair.
I was telling Jake, the movie's in a weird in between, and I've seen other people comment on this. Like, they keep the people more cartoonish, and that's good. You don't want to get into the uncanny valley, but Pixar does this thing where everything around them looks so photorealistic, quote unquote, as best as they could. There's this weird in between of it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. It's just caught in the middle. It's weird looking. The hair is the highlight of it. Everything else is just kind of odd.
Yeah, it's the good dinosaur. The good dinosaur.
Yeah. Also, they had to animate like 37 butts. That was a bit weird. It's like we traded a darker story for a bunch of butts and a bear jumping in between woman's breasts.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't a bear at that point, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
They had to get the key. to let Merida out.
I didn't think he was a bear.
They were
I
bears.
thought that was before.
No,
because I thought that once they got her out, she said, "You can have as much dessert as you want," and that's when they went together.
Was it? I thought they were.
They were boys then.
Shows you how much I care.
They were boys then. That makes it worse.
It's still. Ugh. God, you pointed that out, and now I can't unsee that. That's playing over and over in my head. Thank you, Jake, for that mental picture.
No, wait.
I had to see you in a bear costume.
They were bears.
No,
because they helped her and her mom get out the
No.
first time as a bear.
I'm pretty
and then
sure.
then he locked Merida in her room to go chase the mom. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jake's right. I'm pretty sure they are.
She needs to get her mom out of the castle the first time, right?
Yes.
After she turned. So she brings them to the kitchen and they eat everything. Like they eat everything, and that's when they eat it. And then when they come back, they're bears. And she gets locked in her room as her dad is chasing her mom as a bear. And the key is with
that
it.
sounds about right too. I literally watched this movie this morning. It shows you how much I remember.
So if anything, that just goes to show how memorable this movie is. If we can't even, like, you watched it today, we both watched it a couple days ago, and we can't even remember.
let's just let them know we did confirm that they were in fact bears when they jumped into the bosom.
Yes.
Yeah, just again, the movie is just, I think I might have said, unremarkable.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I don't know. The
because
more
of
you
what
talk
but
about
it's
it,
just-
the more I'm leaning towards just straight up bad.
like it's
But the thing is, like,
why would you? It's kind of a failure of what it sets out to be.
to be fair, I also don't. You said you saw it in theaters and you remember the marketing for it. I don't. So like.
But just look at the opening act of the movie and how well things are set up, and then it just kind of doesn't go anywhere or do anything.
Bad is maybe a strong word. I would put mediocre at best.
Which is bad.
Fair. I mean that's fair. That's fair. I can.
It's just one of those things where nothing actually really happens or has any depth to happening. The plot progresses just because it has to.
Mm-hmm.
Things just happen, and at the end, you don't feel anything. Nothing feels earned. It's all just kind of, it happens, and at the end of the movie, you go, okay.
Maybe I changed my mind a little bit. Maybe it's kind of bad.
It's the second time you changed Dickey's mind today.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about, too, like, the humor in the second half is really distracting. They pump a lot of it in there, in place of what could be character moments or depth or just development.
It's barely funny.
Thank you. It's just the more I think about it, it's like
I didn't know if he was gonna be able to get any more of that in there.
The more I think about it, and her brothers are funny.
They are.
They're in it a lot doing their hijinks where it's like we're spending so much time on them running around doing stuff that we're not.
You know what I'm actually very surprised about? I'm surprised there has not been a Disney Plus spinoff show with her brothers yet.
Why do they just go around the kingdom jumping in between people's boobs?
I feel like it's prime for like one of those short Disney Plus little like, hey, you guys like Brave, right? Take more. Like that's only.
Again, like I never hear anyone talk about it. It's kind of forgotten. And there are even people on like Letterboxd who are like so underrated. Like, what?
Really?
I mean, you can have your opinion, but under how is it underrated? It's of like I don't understand underrated. Forgotten, sure. Underrated? No, I think it might be a bit overrated.
I would say it's
Oscar.
rated about accurately. Like
I don't know. People like this and think it's good.
I think it probably won the Oscar based on.
It's Pixar.
Just because it's Pixar.
No, because it based on its. How do I say this without sounding sexist? Based on its lessons.
Being progressive.
Yes, that's what I want to say.
Which I'm glad we have a Pixar female main protagonist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish she had a better movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She deserved way better movie. And again, we got a chunk of that movie.
Isn't she the most recent Disney princess? No, Vanellope is. No.
That's the same year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other recent
Moana.
Moana, there we go. Yeah, that was 4 years
Is
later.
Frozen?
Yeah, that was the year after Brave. So yeah, well, so we have gotten some. She might be the only Pixar one.
Unless you count Jessie?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, then there we go.
All right.
Yeah, I don't hate this movie.
Sure, it kind of seems like you do.
But
Sure,
there's
it sure
just
does.
so much. It takes a lot for me
Not
to
quite at
hate
the
it.
level of hate that Lorax is, but
Well, that takes a next level hatred.
One of those things spits on its source material, where the other one is just a failure to live up to what it was setting up.
This did say it was based on source material at the end, though, wasn't it? Based on a book, I think.
Something.
I could have sworn I saw like the very
most
like,
everything nowadays is based on a book, so...
fair. That's fair.
Her dad's name was Fair, I guess.
Fair.
So that means her uncle is Farco, and her aunt is
must be
Felicia. The joke is dumb, and I love it.
Sparkling Felicia.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say, because I
I don't even
It's-
remember the music from this movie.
I don't either. I remember
For
the
a Pixar, the music does not stand out.
I liked the song at the beginning when she was riding. I don't remember how it sounds, but I remember liking it. I think
touch the sky.
something
Yeah,
like
is that how it goes?
Actually, he's probably not wrong. Okay, so the composer is Patrick Doyle.
Oh,
Which is
some good stuff.
Yeah, and like he's done one of my favorite scores of all time, which is Branagh's Henry V. He's got like his score in that is great. So then I watch this, I go, it fits the movie, and that's about it. It doesn't stand out much because no one remembers it. And then, not to say it's bad music, it's just doesn't.
For Pixar, like it's not like Pixar like has a high bar for music,
They really do.
and it just didn't really meet that super high bar.
Correct.
Thanks, I know.
Also, the witch. It's weird. I feel like in these movies somehow the witch would usually be in it again somehow. I'm not saying this is a criticism. I was just like, that's kind of weird that she's in the one scene,
And they just had her
technically in that second scene, and then
voicemail.
just gone.
Yeah, it was kind of.
It's almost like her part was cut out of the movie.
I would love to be. I would be very curious to see it behind the scenes, just to see the process that they went through and what to keep.
There probably is. It's probably not going to cover anything like that. It's probably going to be lighthearted and fun, like it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Anyone also notice
movies is magical.
Yeah, you ever notice that first bear chase when she's first getting her mom out of the castle? It just keeps going.
Yep.
It's
it's
10 minutes. It's the same thing of they run down a hallway to a shape of a bear, and then they run down another hallway to a shape of... I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure that's the point where I stepped away from the TV for a second to make myself breakfast. So yeah.
What'd you make?
Oh, I had a nice little egg sandwich today.
I knew you were going to say an egg sandwich. I don't know how.
Just I love me some eggs.
I love an egg sandwich.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong.
No.
Egg
Some
sandwich,
good scrambled eggs on a like a mini sub bun.
I did it on an everything bagel, and it was delicious.
I had one of those once. I got it from a gas station. It gave me food poisoning.
Well, there was your issue, buddy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's my fault.
Sorry. You got to be more clear. You had 2 of them.
Yeah, I had 2 of them.
Oh my.
So it was about a year ago, too. Around this time a year ago. I was getting home from work at like 1 in the morning.
Well,
I was hungry.
Yeah.
In this day and age, nothing is open late, and it hurts us second shifters.
And the third shifters. Yeah. It's tough.
So I go to a gas station, and I'm just like, what can I get to eat? I just got to eat something because I got to go back in tomorrow. It's the holidays. Everything sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, and I remember the guy behind the counter. It's really nice. He's like, yeah, these breakfast sandwiches. I just had one. It was pretty good, and it was like egg, ham, and cheese on an everything bagel.
Okay.
So and they were like $5, $4, something, whatever. It's like, okay, I'll get 2 of those. Got 2 of those and something to drink. And I remember I ate them and something fell off. And then I woke up and guess what happened? Woke up in the middle of the night. Oof.
One Direction, both directions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Notice how we took like a
was
3-minute tangent on the
a
Brave
hard-
episode
that
to
was a
talk about
hard
food
left.
poisoning, because apparently food poisoning is more interesting than this movie.
That was a hard left turn to get there.
Yeah, I would say this movie is food poisoning. It's not. There's actually some decent things in there.
No, it is like food poisoning though.
It comes out both ends.
Well,
Is
no,
it
because
unbearable?
it's good enough to like. Okay, let's try another bite of it. Oh,
It's
no,
good
it
enough to
doesn't.
take a taste of, but man, you don't like what comes out after that.
Does anyone have anything else to say? I think I covered all my notes. There's probably stuff I'm missing.
I'm pretty happy with what I got out there.
Bear.
That's it.
Yeah, he's putting the bear hat back on, audio listeners.
Had to get it in.
Well, do we have any closing thoughts? Yes, Jake?
Bear.
Thank you. Dickey, any closing thoughts?
Bear.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Well, since we have nothing else to say about this movie, Dickey, where can they find us and listen to us?
You can follow us on all the social medias at Instagram, at Facebook, at Twitter, at TikTok, all Slate Media. We got good stuff going on all the time. And you can listen to us on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Apple, on Google, on iHeartRadio, on all your podcasting websites. Make sure to give us a rating there. It helps bump up our numbers. And last but not least, you can watch us here on YouTube. Ring our bell, hit subscribe, leave a comment. We love to know what you guys think. And lastly, actually, we have a website. Go to offslatemedia.com so you can listen to us and send us random anonymous messages. Just don't abuse the power, please.
And if you understood all that, good for you.
Does it sound okay coming out of here? You can tell what I'm
We should
saying.
probably like sew up the mouth.
I can't escape.
Anyway, next week we move on to we're back to the sequel game, and it's Monsters University.
It's
12
sequel. It's a prequel.
Well, prequel, sequel.
Get it right,
12,
Jared.
12 years
Get
after
it right
the
or pay the
original.
price.
12 years after the original came out, and we'll get into more of that next week.
Oh, yeah.
Until then, this is Off Slate Media with Dimlits. We'll see you next time.
Bear.
I was waiting for it. You know, that'd be Grizzly. Grizzly.
Oh no, he's taking his shirt off. He's taking his shirt off.
Happy Memorial Day. Why do I feel like eating cookies? Is it gonna fit?
It actually fits me really well.
Please
Yeah,
wear it to work.
It's
I'm not wearing that to work.
Please.
Mordu. Looks like it's riding up somewhere.
Yeah, does it?
Man,
like,
that
why-
bear has a package like the turtles.
He's the late growler.
What the heck?
You can't laugh.
I gotta look this way. Where's Dickey?
I don't know. He's pretty unbearable. That hurt.
But don't tell Dickey, but I think he can be as loud as he wants. Oh,